Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. It's amazing what a difference a week can make in the world of life and college sports and whatever. A week ago, I think it was right around, I'm recording here about 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. The first little whispers of John Calipari going to Arkansas. We did the live 2-hour reaction once it became official. Don't even think we went on air until about 10 p.m. Eastern time. But that settles down. Cal's at Arkansas, and Kentucky is searching for a new head coach. And so where we last left off, listen, Thursday night, it was a little chaotic. I think there was some frustration with Kentucky fans about the initial hire of Mark Pope. But when I came on air Friday afternoon, it felt like everybody kind of had done their homework. Everybody kind of understood what he would bring to the table. And let me just say this. I get a lot of stuff wrong. But producer Matt, why don't you go ahead and pop up the tweet that I put up on Thursday night when Big Blue Nation was in a little bit of a panic about the Mark Pope hire. I tweeted out, this was Thursday night at 8:57 p.m. I want to say that, I assume that was Eastern time, whatever. I said, all I ask Kentucky fans, give Mark Pope till the opening press conference. He's super dynamic, and he wanted a place that's basically impossible in the modern era, and he clearly knows Kentucky's expectations. Give him a chance. He'll be impressed, and it's on him once the season starts. So that was what I put out Thursday. Producer Matt, why don't you play the clip, what I said on Friday's show?
He understands what it's about. It's funny, right? Like me being a UConn guy, like I get how UConn fans are. I know how they're going to react to certain things, and I have no doubt that he knew what the reaction was going to be. And I don't think it scared him. I don't think it intimidated. And matter of fact, I think he probably chuckled at it. I think he probably laughed at it, thought it was funny, and had a good time. And so that's the first thing you need to know about Mark Pope. And the one thing I did say, because as I said, I didn't love the process of how we got to Mark Pope, but I don't hate the hire. And the one thing I will say about Mark Pope, I did say on Thursday night, I said, Kentucky fans, just give it to the opening press conference. He's having the opening press conference at Rupp Arena. My understanding is fans will be allowed to come in. I think he is going to make you laugh. He's going to make you cry. He's going to make you do everything. That's the kind of personality he has. The only way I can describe him, frankly, is with the word that your old coach used to use all the time. I think he's a really swaggy dude. He walks in, he's confident. He's confident in who he is. He's confident in what he's about.
Well, that was Torres on Friday afternoon. We have now got in the first part of the Mark Pope experience. And let me just ask you, Big Blue Nation, listen, I understand that until he coaches a game, that frankly, until he gets to a Final Four, wins a national championship, those are the way. Those are the ways that you are going to determine if he is the right coach for Kentucky or if he can live up to the standard of all of the people, most of the people that have come before him. But I will also say this. My old radio partner, Arnie Spanier, he always used to say, Torres, the show is tonight. And what that means is we can only base our opinion on the facts that we have right now. And I'm here to tell you, for an opening press conference, I don't think anyone could have handled it any better than Mark Pope did on Sunday afternoon at Rupp Arena. Boy, oh boy, is there a lot to react to from Sunday. First off, let me start by saying this. Big Blue Nation, shout out to you. I'm talking about you and you and you and you and you and you and you, okay? Because at the end of the day, here is the bottom line. The bottom line is, listen, there are some negative connotations to Kentucky fans. They're too passionate. They care too much, this, that, the other thing. Sunday showed the best. By the way, I don't mind it. It's part of my, it's what has helped me get my career to where it is right now, okay? But at the same time, I bring it up to very simply say, all of the things that people talk about as negatives, the passion, the fandom, the excitement, I thought the best versions of it were on display on Sunday at Rupp Arena. We'll get a final ticket total, a ticket tally, but there had to be 15,000 people there. It looked like a sellout. You guys got more fans in the stands than probably 99% of people will get for a regular season basketball game next year. You got it for an introductory press conference. And so that is why this will always be the premier program in college basketball, the premier job in college basketball. And it is why Mark Pope so desired it. So with that said, now let's switch gears to the Mark Pope side of things. And all I can say is this guy knocked it out of the park. On our Torres on Kentucky account, our Torres on UK account, you can see it down below. Our Torres on UK account asked a very important question after the press conference. How would you grade Mark Pope's introductory press conference? Would you grade it an A+? The options were as follows: A+, A++, A++++, or you fainted midway through, because that's how good this thing was, okay? And so first of all, the entrance said it all. A bus full of former Kentucky players. Everybody's getting off the bus, this and that. It ends with the 1996 national championship team. And there comes Mark Pope out with the trophy. There comes Mark Pope out to the adoring fans. And I think even just the introduction made him get it. It proves that he gets it. Proves that he understands what this job is about, what it's about. And I do think that he is a link to the era before John Calipari, okay? And to be clear, I don't think that the fact that he only played at University of Kentucky makes him a candidate. I get it. I get all this. I get all that, okay? But I bring it up because, in my opinion, one of the big things that you cannot argue about with Mark Pope, we're going to figure it out at a certain point. Is he built for this job? We're going to find out when he plays the Kansases and the Dukes and the Louisvilles and the whoever's. But does he get the responsibilities of this job? Absolutely, as he walks out with the 1996 national championship trophy. On top of that, let me say this. I think he hit on every single major talking point that any Kentucky fan would want to hear in that press conference. I mean, he just nailed everything. And I'll be honest, I don't know if one of two things happened. Either Mark Pope has been following this program very closely from a distance, like very closely, maybe a subscriber to some of the message boards. I think Mitch Barnhart may have prepped him on what to say and how to say it, because he hit on not only every point a Kentucky fan would want to hear. If you paid very close attention, all of the things that got frustrating by the end of the Calipari era, Mark Pope did a pretty good job of making sure to mention those things as well. So first of all, I love the introductory moment where he says, there's been a lot of press conferences, but there's never been anything quite like this. Love that. Love the fact that he started by saying, guys and girls here in Rupp Arena, guys and girls here across the state, I understand the assignment. It is to bring in banners into this arena. But then did you see what he said right after that? He said it starts in Nashville at the SEC tournament. And you really either have to be a diehard Kentucky fan, maybe a diehard Torres fan, because we talked about this after Kentucky lost in the SEC tournament to Texas A&M. You can go back to the beginning of the John Calipari era. And at the beginning of the John Calipari era, he basically, one of the first kind of screw ups that he made basically as the Kentucky head coach was he basically insinuated early on, I don't really care all that much about this SEC tournament. It has nothing to do with whether we're going to win the national championship in any given year or not. And even from the beginning, that frustrated Kentucky fans, because Kentucky fans said, wait a second now, this is our event. We pack probably 90% of the arena in most years, maybe even more, depending on if Tennessee is good or not. But two, we spent our whole year planning for this. We spent our hard-earned money on a trip to Nashville. And the way I explain it to people all the time, and I know you know Kentucky fans, but at the same time, with Kentucky, the bottom line is there's a lot of people that can't get tickets to Rupp Arena on any given night. there are people that don't know where Kentucky is going to play in the NCAA tournament. And so planning a trip on 1 week's notice is not realistic. But they plan their whole year. They take vacation time around the SEC tournament. And I will say, I'm a Calipari supporter, but I always thought this was a thing that he did not handle well from the beginning, is understanding the importance of this tournament. And I was critical after you lose to Texas A&M. I said, you had thousands of fans come all the way out to Nashville, and you put out that kind of performance, that's unacceptable. So that was the first thing that Mark Pope said that caught my attention as far as how he's going to run this program, how it's going to be different. There will be a pride in not just national championships, but SEC championships as well. 2, the scheduling comment was very interesting, in my opinion, okay? So for people who missed the scheduling comment, Matt Jones, Kentucky Sports Radio. By the way, I had a listener of the show tell me, every time I hear producer Matt, I think of Matt Jones. No, Matt Jones is not the producer of this show. He's got a lot on his plate already, and that is not one of his responsibilities, okay? But Matt Jones asked the question because Matt Jones for years has been basically saying, can we get one trip to the Maui Invitational? Just one time. I just want to go to Maui to cover my team. And so on Sunday, Mark Pope by Matt Jones was asked about the scheduling. And he first said, hey guys, girls, what do you think about a game against St. John's? And he kind of said it, but then he kind of took it back right away. Remember, Mark Pope, of course, played for Rick Pitino, and he took a moment to just say, you know what? Thanks to Coach P. Thanks for everything that he did to get me to this point. But he insinuated maybe there's a home and home involved with St. John's. Maybe there's a neutral court game or a road game with St. John's at Madison Square Garden. My assumption would be if you're going to Madison Square Garden, then you are doing a return game at Rupp Arena. So I thought that was interesting. But then he did say, he's like, listen, I don't even know if I have Mitch Barnhart's approval saying this, but I think we could sneak into that Maui tournament once or twice. So that was something that, again, felt like a subtle little jab at the previous administration. And then finally, I thought he just hit on a lot of the other stuff, which was the bottom line was like he talked a lot about, you know, how he's going to put a staff together, the fact that there's going to be new roles that might not have previously existed in other iterations of college basketball. He talked about recruiting. He said, we're going to get some Burger Boys, some McDonald's All-Americans, but we're also going to bring in some players that can grow and develop and be part of this program for years to come, players that you can wrap your arms around and get really excited about. And so I thought that was interesting as well. Again, what felt like another subtle jab at John Calipari. And so listen, I don't want to make this all about Cal, but my biggest picture takeaway from the entire press conference, I just think it's going to be best for everyone that John Calipari made the move that he did. Because at the end of the day, when I look back to that statement John Calipari made last Tuesday, what did he say? He said this program needs a new voice. This fan base needs a new voice. This school needs a new voice. And I'll be honest, I think he was actually right. Obviously, if Arkansas doesn't come through with an incredible offer and an incredible opportunity, and this isn't Bash Calipari Day, okay? I think he is going to do well at Arkansas. I think he's going to be rejuvenated at Arkansas. But it was clear that this program did need a fresh voice. And it was clear that this program did need somebody else leading the charge. And you just could see in the crowd the energy, the excitement. I think the drawback to another era of Kentucky basketball. The last 15 years was incredible. But at certain points, did it get too much about the one and done? Did it get too much about NBA players? Did it get too much about kids that are going to come in for a year, leave after a year, and have no affiliation with the school afterwards? Yeah, it probably did. And there is a big percentage of the fan base that I think wants, I would guess virtually all of the fan base, if not all of the fan base, wants to go back to an era where it is about more about the name on the front of the jersey than the name on the back, all those cliche things. Bringing in more Kentucky kids, not everybody having to be a one and done, not everybody having to be a five-star, building a program that involves, yes, an elite prospect or two, but also at the same time, guys that are redshirting, guys that are developing, guys that are playing in the portal, this and that, whatever. And so I just think that this is the fresh start that Kentucky needed. You could feel the energy of the fans. Just drop something. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. We'll edit all this out. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Give me a second here. But I'm back. You could feel the energy of the fans. You could feel the excitement, and you could just feel the freshness. Mark Pope cracking jokes. Mark Pope cracking jokes about his 96 national championship team, how they're going to be tougher on him than any fan ever could be. Mark Pope smiling. Mark Pope with his family. Listen, man, when I wrote my book on Kentucky basketball, I went back and watched that John Calipari presser when he brings in Ellen, when Brad, who is now one of his assistant coaches at Arkansas, probably 12 years old, 13 years old. And it comes full circle. And you know what? It is time for somebody new. It is time for a fresh voice at Kentucky. Go ahead and make sure to drop your questions in the chat. We are going to get to Mark Pope here momentarily, and we're going to get to what his first moves are going to be. Before we get to it, though, producer Matt, listen, we slave away here at Aaron Torres Media. We slave away at Aaron Torres Media to get you the coolest, hippest stuff ever. Why do I bring it up? It's because when I saw the group of fans forming at probably 10 or 11 a.m., if not earlier at Rupp Arena, I said, we need some new merch in the Aaron Torres Media store. And so I present you, for the first time, our new Mark Pope gear in the Aaron Torres store. Producer Matt, pop it up. That's right. We have hope in Pope. Credit to my design guy. He turned this around really quick. It is a great shirt. We are starting to sell them. There is a link in the show description. There will be a link. You can see the link. I believe producer Matt just dropped a link into the chat. Make sure to grab one of yours. We are literally going into production tonight. So grab yours. Hope and Pope. Listen, everybody, I'll say this. I'm not going to sit here and beg, okay? Everybody always asks me, Torres, how can I help? How can I help this show? You give us thousands of hours of free content every single year. What can I do to help? You want to help? Grab one of these bad boys, support us. Bluntly, we don't make very much money off merch. By the time you buy the shirt, by the time you ship it, by the time you pay the printer, by the time you pay the designer, it's not that much. But you want to help out Torres just a little bit. Link is in the show description. Link is in the feed. And the Hope in Pope jersey, the Hope in Pope tees have arrived. We have just already gotten our first order. I won't drop a name because I don't want to be disrespectful of anybody else that may order them. But we just got our first couple orders. Thank you for your support. You know what, people? We have hope in Pope. And here is the good news. The second anytime he does anything good, I will remind you of these. These are now available in the Aaron Torres merch store.